apologize for going over a couple minutes, but we are here now and ready to start. Are we all ready here, guys? Okay. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Dave, would you start us off on our Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Missy, would you like to do the roll call for us?
Sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mayor Foss.
Here.
Chief Fuller.
Here.
Chief Coles.
Here.
Councilwoman Mrs. Maureen Fry. Here. Councilman Mr. David Youngkins.
Here.
Councilman Mr. Bernie Shields.
Here.
Council Vice President Mr. Ondo.
Here.
Council President Mr. Richard Brennan.
Here.
Mr. Solicitor.
Here.
Mr. Bashevich.
Yes, here.
Interim Borough Manager Mr.
Here.
Little. Mr. Richard Bodine, Councilman.
Yeah.
Councilman Timothy Eads.
Here.
Public Works Supervisor Mr. Bicey.
Here.
Code Enforcement.
Here.
They're all here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's on. All right, it's on. It's on. Okay, so I don't have much of a president's report. We've been quite busy working on countless things. The engineer is not here tonight. Do we have a report from the engineer at all on some items, Tim?
Yeah, it's in your packet. It's right underneath the agenda.
So I wanted to talk about a couple of things that he's working on that he was going to have. Did he get us our reports on cost to for demolition for the?
No, we haven't. He mentioned about getting 3 phone bids. No.
Did we get that?
No, not yet.
Okay, so we're waiting for that from you.
Correct.
So just so you know, that's part of our strategy is to find that out.
Mr. President, I sent you guys an email from at least one phone bid for a proposal for Margaret Street and Market.
All right, we need.
We can send. I can
we
send.
need
I
the
can send that
engineer.
to Matt. I'll send that to
I
Matt.
sent it to Matt also.
Yeah.
So he
Oh, you
does
sent it
have-
to Matt?
I sent it to all of us, and
Okay.
so he does have a.
Okay.
And I reached out to 2 other demo companies, and no response
All right.
back yet.
Okay. Well, that's really the engineer's job to do.
Well, we discussed it last week to get the,
Right now.
to get it, so
Right.
we gotta get it done.
Okay. Okay. That being said, I believe he gave us a cost of what the repairs were going to be on the Ravine Street, or what street is that called? Creek Street cost, and it went from $600,000 to about $800,000. So we haven't gotten a price on that yet either, have we, Tim?
No, that's gonna. We have on the agenda here to authorize to bid that out. You're not gonna know exactly what that is, obviously, until you get bids in.
Right. So we're not going to know that until we get bids in on either the demolition or that.
That
So
is correct.
so we're really contingent on the market of what you can get things done for at this time.
We can put out the bid for the demolition to see what it is. It's not on the agenda to do that, is it?
It
So
should
he's
be.
gonna get 3 phone quotes to see if somebody would do it for under the threshold of the bidding, which is 21,000. It may be more this year. I don't know what it is for 2024.
No, so it's a little higher than
Is it a little higher than that?
that.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't understand why.
Whatever
we
the
don't
bid
put it out
threshold
bid
is
so we
for
know for sure.
2024.
Well, we are. What they're doing, Dave, is they're doing a phone call vote, and if the threshold is under that, we can do that without putting it out for bid. Is that correct? Is that how I
that's correct.
understand
Well,
that?
the idea, again, it saves advertising dollars. It costs a lot of money to advertise in the newspaper, which is still a requirement, and if it's under the threshold as Tim had mentioned, I think it now might even be up to 23,000, I'm not sure, I could check, but the engineer knows. Comes in under that, we don't have to pay for advertising. And if I can continue on that subject, I'll do a
Sure.
report. but since
Absolutely,
talking
we're
about
into it. You can do your report now.
Oh, okay. All
Go right ahead.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Then that just dovetails into my first item, and that is these demolitions. So I had communications today with Mr. Little. The engineer had communications with COG, which oversees these demolitions. And one of the things they asked is whether or not we have legal clearances. So Tim Little asked me today to check on that. They have not been condemned. We have not done legal condemnation. So we're gonna have to get that underway immediately, unless, remember, there's one exception to going through that process. That these buildings are deemed to be an imminent threat to the public safety, imminent danger of collapse, and the engineer writes a report stating that, then we can circumvent that process. I don't know what the engineer's opinion is on that, but otherwise, we need to start condemnations immediately now. That's something I do. I get title searches, prepare everything. We have a hearing. We've done that in the past, not recently. But I'll coordinate that with the engineer and see what the status is and make sure that we get that going right away.
Okay.
So that we have the proper legal clearances. COG will not move forward, will not raise them without the legal clearances. So one way or the other, we'll get that done. I'll coordinate that with the engineer. Okay? And the other thing, and I talked to Chief Fuller about this, we got a letter from Working America through the AFL-CIO about canvassing, just letting us know that they're out canvassing. And I got another letter from a law firm challenging the solicitation. This seems to be happening everywhere. It's all my other municipalities, I'm seeing this. There have been a lot of federal court legislation and court decisions in the last 3 to 5 years about limiting the time. We have a time limit in there of 5 o'clock, and the courts have been striking that down. So we don't want to get into litigation. I'm doing the research on that right now. We're going to have to amend our ordinance to come into compliance with what the federal courts have said. This is the opportunity that we must provide. So you have to give some nighttime hours. It may even be dusk. But I'm working on that. Talk to Chief Fuller about that to notify the officers, so we don't want to give anyone a citation. We'll institute that in the interim period, and I'll continue to report on that as I fine tune this and come up with a draft of an amended ordinance that I think we need to do in order to come into compliance. So those are the 2 items I had, Mr. President. Thank you. I have nothing else.
Thank you, Mr. Solicitor. Anyone else have any questions for our solicitor? Okay. So is it out of bounds for us to talk about what we talked about on executive session about the parking right now with you?
The parking, that's fine.
We can say something about that?
Yes.
So we met today in executive session about Turtle Creek Valley Authority, and they're going to be doing a project up there, a parking project. They're asking us for permission to use a temporary parking area facility down below the municipal parking area here. So we were in agreement to do that, just so people know we're trying to be good partners with Turtle Creek Valley and trying to work together to resolve issues and get that contract done, which was part of the contract where we took this building over. So just letting the public know, council is all in favor, we're 100% together on this, and we're moving forward on that, okay? All right, so Mayor, do you have a report?
Yeah, just a couple things. Just want to announce, Darrell Hunt contacted council and myself and suggested because of the heat, we do have, and Darrell's our emergency management coordinator, and we have opened a polling station in the borough building up on the 2nd floor in the community room. So far, a lot of people haven't came up, but with it being hot the rest of the week, we may get more possibly, and we welcome anybody that needs to get out of the heat. It is going to be open from 11 a.m. until 5 p.m. The rest of the week. So if you know anybody that needs to get out, feel free to use it. Also remember, check on your neighbors, check on your elderly neighbors, and any neighbors that need to be looked in on, take a look at them, make sure they're okay. You know, because there's people that are having problem with heat exhaustion, you know. around. Some were, a lot of them were outside, some were inside.
So Mayor, can I interject with you for a minute
Yes,
just on that
Oh,
subject?
yes,
So
yes, please.
I did talk with Daryl, and we are gonna keep it open all the rest of the week, but he said there were 30 to 40 people that were taken for heat exhaustion
Right.
just in the last day or two. So it is something we need to keep an eye on, and I'm not stealing your thunder, but go ahead, Mayor.
Where's the polling station at?
Community
Upstairs.
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 And there
Don't have it in the
are,
conference room, we just came up.
no,
Pretty
not that
well.
little conference room. But we did, we called, Tim, and we had some water picked up. Some cold water is available for them. We picked up some cookies, I believe, at Costco.
Anybody come?
A couple people on Monday,
Yeah.
and people were just looking
Yeah,
in today, but I
couple
don't know
people.
what they stayed.
Not a lot, but it's gonna get hotter.
I think we may get more. Also, the next Munhall Main Street Market Nights is the 28th of June. The theme for the market nights this time is Dress Your Decade. So I don't know, probably some people will, some won't. So if you're a 70s kid, or an 80s kid, or a 90s kid, or if you're somebody like Bree who grew up in the 2000s, and she would be, I guess, a millennial, right? What's the I have no idea, Bree, what we call it. But I want to welcome Bree back to our meeting tonight. Bree was our first, from the high school, our first person we ever had representing us on the Mayor's Advisory Council. And I want to welcome Bree back. She's finished up her college this first semester at freshman year. But she's going to much better college this year. She's going to Pitt. So she's coming back and going to Pitt and leaving the lovely state of North Carolina, South Carolina, that's it. Okay, wrong state. So she's coming back to, they're going to go to Pitt for her sophomore year.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Solicitors report we already done, engineers report we have, and I spoke briefly on a couple items from the engineers report. So we'll move on to our police chief's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Council has a copy of my report. For the month of May, Munhall Police responded to 716 calls for service, made 35 arrests, conducted 115 traffic stops, and issued 103 traffic citations. That's all I have. If you have any questions.
I just talked to the chief before the meeting, and this is the last week our 2 new hires are going to be partnered with somebody. They will be on their own next week. So
Good. Well, they're both
time flew by quick.
They're both experienced officers, and I've spoken with many of the police officers, and they're very happy to have them. They're excited to have 2 new members.
So time flew by quick, and next week they will be out there on their own.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Fire Chief's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. For the month of May, we had a total of 49 calls, 27 in Munhall, and 22 requests for assistance or mutual aid. Our average from dispatch to the first truck being en route is 4 minutes and 23 seconds, and to be on scene is 6 minutes and 17 seconds. We've been making preparations for this heat wave. If we do manage to get something, we'll be calling in additional units and additional rehab units to rotate the guys out, quicker than normal. But knocking on wood that nothing happens during this week. That's all I have.
Thank you, Chief. And Chief, and I know this, how hot does it get within fire coats and whatnot on these hot days and nights?
It's self-explanatory. I mean, they're hot.
They are.
They're designed to keep you cool inside the building, but it takes a toll. It doesn't take long. You're out here in 100-degree air going into a several 100-degree building. It doesn't take long.
Thank you for all you guys do, both you and the other chief beside you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move forward then to code enforcement.
You have a copy of my report. I sent out this year over 250 for high grass. I'll be having around 60 to 70 people, I don't know the number offhand, being taken to the magistrate. Our hearings are scheduled for July 16th. It's nice to report that once people start getting letters from the magistrate and saying they have a court hearing, they give me a call and say they'll be taken care of. It's unfortunate you have to do that these days.
There's a lot of houses that have really high grass. That's really sad to say.
Are there any questions?
Any questions? Okay, Public Works report?
Same as last week, patching potholes, cutting grass.
Did we remove the paver that we sold? Did they come and get that yet?
No.
It's still there?
Yeah, so.
Okay.
So, Bob, the fence on Ravine Street is completed. I seen it down there quite a bit this week.
That's fine.
People happy?
I didn't get no complaints, so I guess.
Well, then they're happy
Called me,
So far.
so far.
You guys are doing a great job in this heat too.
Yeah. Manager's report?
Well, I gave their report on last week at the work session. The Ravine Street fence is completed, right, Bob?
Absolutely.
Okay, and we're waiting on, as far as the Creek Street landslide, we have an authorization to advertise for bids for that. And as far as the fire escrow fund, I've matched up everything as far as using any of that money in there. There's the $30,000, I went back about 3-4 years, there's $10,000 I can't match up with any kind of fire that occurred, and I don't have any check or anything, so I don't know where that money goes to. That's kind of the missing item that I can't match up, but I wouldn't use any of that money out of there until you definitely know where that money is. I know where everything else
Have you
is.
spoken with the past borough manager?
No,
I
I haven't asked him specific questions like that, but I could call him.
I think that would be one you might want to do,
Sure.
because that, maybe he has a little info that he can give to you on that. Because we have spoken about that account, and you certainly don't want to misspend any money out of that account as well.
No, by all means, no.
Right.
Homestead Storm Sewer Project, they are not gonna need a permit according to their manager, informed me about 2-3 weeks ago. And Carnegie Library grant, I am, as I mentioned on last Tuesday, I'm not up to speed on that grant specifically, and Commonwealth Consulting will know more about that. And everything else here is being pursued, the Main Street grant, and we had a presentation last month on 1900 West Street, the old municipal building. And the only other grant that Jamie Caterino, the assistant chief, he got that all in working with Dan Stolzes from Commonwealth or Nova Strategies on the NIBRS grant for the upgrade of the police software.
The $30,000 grant, I
Um,
believe that's what it was.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. We got all that information in there. And that really is about it, except for Woodhill Park. There's some, Nick Shells was doing some work up at Woodhill Park, as I mentioned to you last week, and he updated all the equipment, but he still has to do a couple more items up there that the Public Works Department's gonna help him out with. And that basically concludes my report, unless anybody has any questions.
Mayor?
Just when we're done, I'd like to go back, because Ryan, we had that, Ryan.
Yeah.
We'll do that once we start, once we're done with our reports. We'll go
Okay.
back. Okay.
Right, sounds good.
For the sewer authority, I have a little information.
I'm coming to you now.
I thought you skipped me.
No, I didn't.
All right, the people notice that there's gonna be a little van running around town, it's the sewer authority van. It's got the MMSSA on the side of it. We hired a working foreman, we're working on getting a helper for him. We're gonna start doing the dye test, he's doing all the 811 calls, all that. And we're just trying to move forward to where we can make sure, like we eventually want to get out to the dye tests to where we know it's done proper, because there has been in the past where somebody went and did a dye test, and the property, it passed, and then it sold, and then another dye test was done and it failed. So if we do it in-house, we know that it's done right, and the ratepayers can get what they deserve, and it's gonna save us money in the long run for the ratepayers. That's my report.
Thank you. I just want to mention, is there anyone from Munhall Cares here tonight? Because they were going to come and speak at the meetings.
None of the officers are here.
Okay. I met with Munhall Cares, and I've talked with Bob Bicey, and we got a good report on the municipal building, the old municipal building, and I'm trying to work with them on maybe them taking over the garage, the municipal garage. It would be council's decision to allow them to do that, and I think it would be better for them to be there than where they're at. I think that they're not real happy where they are, and I've spoken with their leadership, and I think it might be a good fit for them. So that's one of the other items that I've been working on that I'm looking forward to.
I agree with you, Rick. I went down to their free store on Saturday. They need moving.
Okay, so we'll work on that. I'd like to get some input on that. That's why I asked Bob about the roller, if that's still there, and possibly get in there and start to clean that garage out and maybe make that area a useful place for them. Too bad the sewer authority's not in the building, because I would like to see them in the building there too. Anyway, we'll move forward. So we're going to approve our minutes for our work session, May 14th, 2024. I need a motion to approve.
Motion. Second.
All in favor? Unanimous? Mr. Rondo, you were the first?
Yes, sir.
And then Mr. Shields. Okay, council meeting May 21st, 2024. I need a motion.
Motion.
Motion by
Second.
Tim,
Second.
second by Mr. Rondo, Mr. Duncan. Okay. So let's move forward to, all in favor? Aye. Thank you. I'm glad you're here. So what were we talking about here? What were we all wanting to look at? We should do that right now.
Yeah.
You wanted to make a, I don't think we need to make a motion to do that.
Yeah, but everybody's here, they would know.
Okay.
If we have a vote.
Council is deciding to only have a council meeting next month, and for July and August, and not have workshops. So we're just making that as a public announcement right now. And if there's any meetings that would need to be held, we can always have an emergency meeting. Okay? And we will advertise that on our website and in the building as well. So, moving forward, I have a couple questions on some of the votes, but we'll get to that as we move on. We have no registered presenters here tonight, so does anyone have any comments or items of consideration?
Can we do the presentation?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, you. Ryan, you back here, come on up. Not a presentation, but this is something that you need to move forward.
Rob,
Yeah.
Rob, come on up here.
And I'll
Come
just
on
read
up.
it here.
Get in front of you.
In front of everybody.
Yes.
Ray probably wants to, Dad probably wants to get a picture here. And we'll do it so the council can see us in the background too. The Borough of Munhall, Mayor Falls, and Munhall Council members would like to thank you for choosing Kennedy Park as your Eagle Scout service project. Mayor Falls, President Brennan, and the rest of Munhall Council would like to grant their permission for you to use the revitalization of the new John F. Kennedy Park. The Borough of Munhall, Mayor Falls, and Munhall Council members support you and your plans you shared with us on June 11th, 2024 at the Munhall Borough Workshop meeting. Please feel free to let us know when you will be working in Kennedy Park. Thank you for all your hard work and dedication to the John F. Kennedy Park, and thank you, Ryan. Proud of you.
Ryan.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ryan.
Ryan, I need to talk to you after the meeting. So, we're gonna move on now for public comments on items for consideration. Any public comments?
Would this be appropriate to talk about the 1336 house right now since you added it at the beginning, or you want to wait?
Well, it's really for public consideration for, items for consideration, but certainly you have the floor.
Okay, great. So I know some of you know me, I'm Maggie Richardson. I live at 1334 Margaret Street, next to 1336, that on June 2nd, 2023, caught on fire. And as always, we want to offer our very great gratitude to our fire chiefs and police who were there that night. Not only, and Timothy, I know you were there too, who were not only putting out the fire, but also really serving us as homeowners who were very scared. And so we are now at 385 days since that fire happened. And it may seem like a rush to get this, what we want is for that house to be torn down, of course. It may seem like a rush because we were very patient and we're depending on a grant application that we later learned did not actually go through from our engineer, was not applied for. So now we're at the point where we do feel that we are in imminent, it is an imminent danger to the public. We are the public. We have a colony of cats that has set in there. We really need this to get taken down for public health issues as well as our own safety. I was told that you guys might have gotten this. May I approach to show you this photo? I was told that some of you may have already seen this, but I just want to make sure this is about 8 feet from my back door. So this is what we look at every day. So and this piece is actually starting to come down further. If you wanted to, I could put together, I could put together a time lapse for you of how the house has actually started to cave in on itself over the past year because of the precipitation. So I just want to make sure you guys know for real. Yeah, okay. So I just want to make sure you guys are aware that really it is a danger, an imminent danger, and so we really want to encourage you to do things tonight. We hope, we are requesting that it is voted on tonight to be demolished. I know I heard that there were some issues, but we really need this to happen before the next. We really need this to happen before the next meeting. Yeah. Anybody? These are my neighbors who also came to support. You want to say anything? Okay. Oh, this is my husband, Randall.
I just want to be quiet, but I just wanted to know that, let you know that the other building adjacent to the other side of that, the rental has rented it out and there's kids there. Those kids be playing on that property in the front. The weeds is up high. Here y'all talking about giving out citation for weeds. The weeds are almost tall as I am. I try my best to maintain it. I asked the gentleman that owned the property on the other side. He was out there cutting it. I said, look, I can cut it one day. He said, that's not my problem. It's not my property. So I know he's a renter. You know, he owned the property there. But I run those kids out almost every evening when I come home. They're new in the neighborhood. Last night, I couldn't hardly sleep because all you can hear was like somebody trying to break into my wall from all the debris and stuff that's hanging on that building was banging up against my house with all that wind and stuff. And these kids are new in the neighborhood. I don't want anything to happen to them. They don't know anything about this. And I don't want to get into bicker with their parents, but I talked to one of them. I said, she said, well, what happened? I explained to her, and she said, well, I try to keep them out as much as I can. And I'd rather for them to play there than in the streets, but that's dangerous. And in the streets is even worse. So we really need to get this done.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So we're waiting for bids? and that's the process, correct? So we've started the
Are
process.
we waiting for the phone bids that we're waiting for?
Yes, we are.
Well, yeah, the engineer has to receive the bid, well, I haven't talked to the engineer, I just have an email, I'm just learning about the status of it today, as I already reported. But the engineer has to get the bids, evaluate them, then make a recommendation, which then council can approve.
If this was to declare an emergency, we could take care of it on ourselves, and then when the bids came in, whatever the difference would be, we'd just kind of reimburse ourselves, wouldn't we? Wouldn't that be more or less?
Who would tear it down?
We'd have to
No,
look for someone to tear it down.
we need a
Well, that's,
contract.
this is what he's doing, it's the same
Right.
thing. The engineer is getting bids from demo companies, the
Right.
same as taking care of it on our own.
What he's
But he has
asking, what he's asking is, can we vote on it now before you have a bid?
No, you need.
That's what you're asking,
Basically.
right?
So
No,
you
we
need all
need
three
bids.
bids before you can vote on it.
So we don't know what the.
Because the bid I turned into them is, I'm not gonna say the number, it's in recording, but, you know,
Obviously, we can't vote anything unless we have numbers.
We need
That
we
is
need
correct.
pricing.
And I don't, if the bids don't come in under that threshold, then we gotta advertise. And this is the process we have to follow, unless there's certain circumstances. And I don't wanna just sit here and speculate. I have to talk to Matt, the engineer, I just don't know. But I touched on that somewhat earlier, but the short answer is we can't act on this tonight. We can't legally do it. We need to have bids to approve, and we can't speculate until we get that. So I can just say to this couple here that I'm seeing this now, the engineer has expressed an urgency in these email communications with the COG. This needs to be done ASAP, so, and I'm just reading the words in this email, which I saw today, but I'll make it a point to talk to the engineer this week and find out the quickest way to expedite this, which of course has to be legal, that's my job, but it's a priority, is what I'm saying to you.
So let me interject for 1 second on all our behalf. So if we find that the engineer gets the bids and he talks to you and there's a condemnation process that needs to be done, did you say
Well,
it's
I'm not
not
sure,
been done?
they're
Or
trying to do, they haven't been condemned, but then the COG's involved, I don't know if we have to use the COG because of the source of the funding. These are things that I should just be speculating.
Can it be declared an emergency?
Yes.
Yes, it could be, the engineer would have to do a report, I touched on that earlier. But again, if we're getting, if there's grant money involved through the COG has a timeline that we can't.
I don't think that we're gonna have to.
So this
we're
is
gonna-
strictly borough
I think
dollars?
we're probably gonna have to do borough dollars.
Yeah,
Yes.
so we're kind of guessing right now. I
Right.
need to talk to the COG and Matt to know exactly where we are and the source of the funds to give you an absolutely correct answer. I don't have that information.
Okay. All right,
So if we come back with a,
can I speak?
absolutely.
Thank you. I'm trying to get to this fact and get this done. If we come with an agreement with the numbers, and we can do a phone vote on this, we don't have to wait for the next meeting. It can be done as an emergency basis. We can conduct a vote, which we don't like to do phone votes, do we, Tim?
I wouldn't.
But if it's deemed an emergency by the engineer, then is it something that we can do a phone vote?
Yeah, it's doable, and I'm reluctant to do that as well, but in a true urgency, emergent type situation, which, you know, depending on talking with the engineer may qualify, but there are other legal requirements I have to make sure are satisfied. So to answer the question, it's possible.
All right, it's possible, is all I'm trying to convey to you people, but I'm trying to work on it, our council's trying to work on it, we're gonna get it resolved as quickly and as soon as we can.
Well, if we didn't want to have a phone vote, we just have an emergency meeting, come in, vote on, and go home.
We can do that too?
Yes.
I'd be more comfortable with that.
Okay, good.
I mean,
I would too.
We could do that then.
the house on Market Street only has 3 walls. The other one's just hanging there, off in the building also. So that definitely needs to be looked at
Yeah, we're
while
looking
we're
at,
going that
we're
route.
looking at both of them. They're
Take
both
both
on
out
it.
at the same time. We're gonna pay the money, because somebody's gonna get hurt.
That's good. This became a danger to public safety. Is there anything that I can do, Greg, as the mayor, because this has now became a public safety issue? with
This requires
children.
expenditure of borough dollars, the council has to act on this, and they'll have the authority to do that.
Okay.
But thanks for suggesting that, but it's gonna require council action.
So,
Greg, do we have to get X amount of bids if we only get one bid? I'm just saying, if only one person comes in and says, this is what I'm offering, take it or leave it, and we say, we'll take it. Or do you have to have 3 bids to be able to defend your cause?
supposed
I mean, none of us want to be in these people's shoes, none of us. And I'm just saying, if we get one bid, and the time frame is 2 weeks, I'd like to say 1 week. We've known about this situation. But let's just say, if it's 2 weeks and we only have one bid, then we could call a meeting and say, this is it. Between Greg and Tim, I would think that you might be able to put it in.
Well, the engineer in this case has to document that he called 3 people. Now, if 2 of them don't submit a quote, then that's okay. You can go with that one bid. And I don't like calling it a bid, it's a phone quote, okay?
Yeah.
That terminology there, bid, it's not a sealed bid, it's a phone quote. But you have, I mean, anybody can put anything on a piece of paper, but that's what you have to do. You have to document, say, I called ABC company, I called XYZ company, I got no answer in return, at such and such date, at such and such time, and they never returned my phone call. We only have one quote. Yes, you can go with that.
I would say, let's make sure the engineer knows and I think he does, the emergency of this, and we would like it, this week.
Well, I'm gonna speak to them.
Yeah. We don't
Personally,
want to wait another week.
I'll discuss it
This
as
week.
soon as I can reach them on the phone.
so the answer to your question is we will work on it and get it done. If it can be voted on, we'll have a special meeting as council chooses to do. And we won't have a phone vote, we'll have a special meeting and we'll vote on it. And how do we make the public aware of a special meeting? Tim?
Yes. This will be advertised in the newspaper. So
Is an emergency
you're gonna
meeting?
have to delay.
How do you do that?
Yeah, we'll have to revisit the borough code. I haven't looked that up in quite a while.
Can you advise us on how we
I
have to do it?
certainly can.
Thank you.
Yes.
Because, and then, Tim, I need you to phone call the other ex-borough manager and ask him about those funds. Because we
Yeah,
may
I
need
will
to
do that.
spend, we may need to expend them. That's
I
why
will do that.
I was going down that route before. Okay, so council, are you happy with this decision with everyone here? Sure. All right, let's move forward then. Is our citizens happy?
Mayor, I just wanna say, I appreciate y'all sending someone out to even try to clean up, but your people came back and told my wife, it's too dangerous for us to even try to move this off your property. I don't want anyone coming, and this is the holiday coming up. I don't even feel comfortable cooking out, or somebody gonna see all this stuff in my backyard.
Bob, one of the, we had Scott McCullough, the Assistant Public Works, come over to your place in the backyard and try to clean that up. He said it was too cumbersome, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I get the impression you need to put a backhoe in your backyard in order to do that. I mean, can we revisit that? I mean, looking at that picture, I get where you're coming from. I mean, is there anything we can do for them?
I'll take a look at it.
Yeah, I mean, if we had to put a backhoe, and I'm not saying we were gonna do that, that's up to Mr. Bicey and Mr. McCullough. But at least if we could do something, push all that stuff back, at least that's something in the interim.
I'm sorry, Mr. Little, but, we really do need to have it all torn down.
That's what we're working on.
I know.
That's what we're working on.
That's a different story. I mean, unless it's an emergency situation, you just can't go, even though the man died, you just can't go and take somebody's property and start tearing it down.
Well, I appreciate the willingness of the council to rush on this now.
Unless it's a real, and the engineer is the one, as Mr. Vashevich said, the engineer is the one that has to make that call.
Okay?
I'd like to say a few things. So my name is Brad Patrick. I was here at the workshop meeting from 1332 Market Street. And my hope was with Brad, Maggie, and Randall tonight that something official would be done tonight. It sounds as if that's not going to be able to happen. One of my concerns with this is that at the workshop meeting, it was told to us that those phone bids were going to be made the next day. And I think there's a video recording of that. You're welcome to go back and look at that. But I guess that's probably part of why we're having trouble taking your word that, well, we'll just take care of this and we'll do this. And you know, I understand your guys' jobs are hard, and this is a difficult legal situation, it's a difficult financial situation, physical situation. But I guess that's part of our frustration is, you know, even the fact that this house is not being condemned in 385 days. I'm not sure what that process looks like. I'm kind of surprised to hear tonight that that house hasn't been condemned yet in the past year plus. But I guess that's where I'm coming from as a neighbor as well to that property, and just sort of expressing some frustration here with the process. So I'm not sure if you resonate with those comments, but if you have any thoughts about that, I'd like to hear them.
I thought we were on the same page that we were going to have the price sheet for this meeting. I've reached out to 3 different demo contractors myself in my free time to try to get, bids in so that we can do this along with the engineer. I know I talked to Matt today, he said he reached out to 2 or 3 himself also. So I'm not sure. I mean, I hope for sooner than later we can get this done.
And unfortunately, it does seem like it's a, what's the word, what's the phrase I want to use, but it's just unfortunate the solicitor wasn't at the last meeting and then the engineer's not at this meeting. I'm kind of interpreting that as just, slowing us down a little bit with this particular situation. But it sounds as if we would have had those bids tonight, we could have had some official action on this, and that's disappointing.
And that's something that we need to talk about, is having the engineer at this meeting also. And we have to figure something out, so because we don't have, Greg at one meeting, we don't have the engineer at one meeting, we can't get things done. It's just like we're going in circles, and you guys see that it just keeps going around and around and around, and now you're 380 something days from the fire, and you're nowhere since June 2nd of last year in the same spot.
That's not true.
They're in the same exact spot as they were as June 2nd. Yes, it is true. I'm not lying to them. They're in the same spot. The house is still standing.
It's probably worse, actually. And that, I guess, is the frustrating part too, because as I've done research with some of these Allegheny County grants, there is an emergency grant within 14 days of a calamity such as Act 152. So I've actually seen Homestead Borough in the past month tear down 2 properties up on 17th Avenue. Yeah, two lots have been torn down because I called the borough manager to ask about that, and she was walking me through a couple of those things, and they're using those emergency funds that are available through those things. Now, again, and I'll say this too, because I understand we're in the midst of a borough manager switch, and we have, Mr. Little's been great throughout this entire process. But that's, again, I'm just kind of publicly expressing that frustration that process isn't moving as smoothly as we would like to see. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Can I piggyback a question onto that? My name's Susie Collins, I live on Western Road, but what's the accountability factor there? Like somebody dropped the ball with not...
Certainly someone did, didn't they?
But what's the accountability though?
Well, the borough manager should know that he has 14 days to apply for something, which was never brought to any of our attentions. Has it been brought to our attention? Never heard of that, such a thing, so I'm not aware of that. Why didn't, a year and a half ago, the borough manager apply for that emergency money? If you only have 14 days to apply for it, you should have applied for it right then.
But what about last week with the engineers supposed to be getting the bids, and Tim, who wasn't accountable for it, was able to get 1 bid?
Tim shouldn't be doing that. That's not Tim's job to do.
But the engineer didn't do it.
Well, we don't know what the engineer's done and not done.
He's not here.
He's not here. Correct.
So what's the accountability?
So
Is
he
required?
should have had that to the borough manager, and that was, if you remember, the first thing I asked when I started the meeting off was, do we have these bids? Because we generally don't get the bids in or anything from the engineers until the day before the meeting or the day of the meeting. You know, they're running around working, doing stuff. So I'm not making excuses, but the ball has been dropped a long time ago with the prior engineer, who obviously someone said that they didn't apply for the grant properly and it was turned down. So it's not council's job to go and check on each grant thing, how it's been written. You take the understanding that you have professionals, engineers, managers, solicitors to do this work. And when it falls through the cracks, sometimes it does. I don't know why it was not applied for properly. I don't know why it was not turned down.
That's code enforcement also. Working with the manager. Was that brought up last year, Boom? I wasn't here. Was that brought up last year about applying for a grant after that?
GIA, I think the previous thing applied, I think what it is, like,
GPI,
they applied it for it, but the county had changed their way of doing it. So it came back and they denied it because it wasn't done properly.
No, I'm talking about the 14-day emergency grant
Well, that
that
would
this
be-
gentleman spoke about.
Yeah, that would be borough manager.
Was that brought up last year when this happened? I wasn't here. That was never brought up.
You'd have to talk.
Are you aware that that process is available?
No, because usually, like Greg said, it's usually handled through the engineer or borough manager.
So all I can say is, we're trying to expedite this as quickly as possible. When we get the pricing and the numbers, we can do that, and we can have a special meeting, and we can get it done.
I wasn't calling on council, I was saying about how the engineer was supposed to have the bids for you guys to vote tonight.
He was supposed to have them.
So where's the accountability there? I just don't know the process, that's what I'm asking, for clarity. Who's in charge of the
The
engineer?
council is in charge of the engineer, absolutely. We direct him on what to do, and he was directed to get us free phone call votes.
It's possible he called 5 demo contractors and
And
no
no
one
one
gave him
was-
a price.
Right.
I mean, I don't know, I don't want to speculate and say he didn't give us
Right.
information that he had in his possession, I don't know. I'll
And-
know tomorrow when I call him and find out what's going on,
Right.
and this is a priority for me. And I've talked about this a lot already, but council's directed me to.
And we
move this.
don't need to have them both at the same meeting. He can pick the phone up and talk to
Yeah,
them and
and
say, hey, we have an issue, let's resolve this.
I talk to the
So-
engineer routinely outside of meetings, so this is the only time we can communicate.
Right. So, like I said before, we'll have a special meeting, and we'll approve it, and we'll have to do it, and it appears to me that it's gonna have to be done with just borough funds. We're not gonna be able to wait for a grant, but we do need to do it the proper way. The solicitor's telling us how it needs to be done, and we can't just say, we're just gonna vote on it anyway. We just can't do that. So, all I can tell you is, we're moving forward in the best way that we can. And I'm not one to point fingers at the past, because there's been several different engineers, there's been several borough managers, and there's a lot to be said about, moving forward.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
why can't we have the solicitor and the engineer attend all of our meetings? If there is any questions, they can answer them.
We can. We can.
I brought that up at the first meeting, and you told me to get back to me, and we're 6 months in, and I still haven't heard anything on that.
Well,
Mr. President,
I can tell you there could be a problem with other meetings. I represent 7 municipalities, I have a lot of meetings to cover, so I'm not necessarily available. I have a busy night schedule. So I'm not saying I can't do it, I may have to juggle things, it's not so easy. Like, this isn't the only night of the month that I work.
I'm only asking, Greg, do you have an associate who could represent your company?
I have my brother who I work with, and he's just as busy as I am at night, so if he's available, yeah, I mean, we cover for each other, there's just 2 of us. So, yeah, if I need him to cover something, he could, if he's available.
Unfortunately, this is a hard lesson learned. And hopefully, you know, nobody ever has to go through what the Richardsons and the Patrigas have gone through again.
Do you want, excuse me, do you want us to fire the engineer? Is that what you're saying, implying?
Me? I'm just curious of the process, that's all, because now we're talking about 2 other buildings as well, and then starting the process of condemning them hasn't happened, so I'm just trying to gain understanding of
Susan, if
what.
I could add something, getting 3 phone quotes within a week would be difficult.
I don't think the problem's with the phone quotes. I think the problem's the fact that the fire that.
Excuse me, can you say your name for the record?
Oh, my name's Brianne Francis. I was at that fire, responding with Munhall number 1, along with Tim Eads and our fire chief here. If you would have been at that fire, you would know that the building was coming down. We have people running to rehab every 5 seconds. I had been voted in the night before that fire happened, and the very first fire that I ever attended was that one. And the fact that 386 days later, not even the building has been condemned, when you could see it the next day and see that it needed to go, is sad. Because how do you walk past it and you go, that looks fine to stay on our street? It's ridiculous, and it shouldn't be there, and the fact that it hasn't even been condemned yet is, in my opinion, abominable. And I do not know how council has, just in general, has not done anything on it until this point. How the fact you need people to come in here and say, hey, it's an emergency? Like, walk down to that building and use your own eyes, you can see it's an emergency. You could see it was an emergency when we responded to it. It shouldn't have had to have taken over a year. And it's just really disappointing. That's all.
So council, we can't do anything else at this point until we get the bids. So,
I think we need to, in front of everybody, say, make a call, be it Tim, make a call, be it Greg, somebody call and get the process started tomorrow morning. Not, I know what you're all going to say.
we've already
It takes
started the
time.
process, and we're just repeating ourselves, is what we're really doing. It's gonna be done, that's all I can tell you. Yes, sir.
Thanks, Rick. Wayne Schulte, Homestead Borough. Just want to let you know DCED has a new program called the STAMP program that may be an assistance to you for some of your future needs. Do have a question on 3 of the bills under item 9. It said government building, 817526. Is that a monthly mortgage payment? Second entry, 817526.
Just government device.
Just curious if that's a mortgage payment on the building.
I don't know.
He's looking at the list of bills.
He's looking at the list
I
of
don't know
bills.
where it is.
So I'm under the first paragraph.
No, that's not a mortgage. That's just sundry of different
Motion to pay bills.
invoices for the building.
Okay, the second one is, it's debt service, $70,674, some odd cents.
For
Is
debt
that-
service,
Yeah, is that interest at the borough's paying?
that's principal and interest on debt service they're paying,
Okay.
on a bond.
And the last one is other, $117,700.
As a repayment for the reassessment of lows. We had to pay them back.
So it just says other, that's like miscellaneous?
So that's the only category that could be put under.
So you can't be more specific than just other?
Well, they had an appeal on their assessment.
Through the county, the taxes.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and they can go back 3 years, I believe it is. And that's what we, the municipality, had to pay back to Lowe's for their, for their taxes that they say was too much. I mean, the whole county is having.
No, I know that, I'm quite familiar with that. Now, is that just one payment for 1 year, or does that encompass?
I don't know, that I don't know. That I don't know.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Sure.
Going on that, I have a question on motion number 4. There is a time period, but is there on the clock from, say, 5 to 9, 5 to midnight, 5 to 2 a.m.? Is it just carte blanche?
Not sure.
I thought we said till 11 o'clock.
It's not in the vote.
No, it's not.
Remember last week, we said till 11 p.m. Because we had
We kicked it around, we never got
Yeah,
it.
you never came up with it.
I thought we said till 11.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking the question. Plus, it's not in the motion, that's why I'm asking the question. Has a time been determined?
Not on my behalf. And it's not on the vote here, so it's not been.
Should a time be determined? I mean, is it gonna go on till 2 a.m. in the morning when the bar closes?
Outdoor dining is only permitted from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Sunday through Thursday, and 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. on Friday and Saturday.
That's the city.
Oh, that's his.
No, that's just an
He's just showing a
Okay.
sample, that's the city.
Yep, so it could be.
As a person who lives very near, because I live right off of Main Street, I would love to see hours put, because many of us say the noise is intense. And it's a residential area. I realize that's commercial, but I'm just saying.
So I think when we get to this, we can, before we vote on it, we can ask questions about it before we vote on it.
Or could you amend the motion to include?
We can amend it right at the time we decide to talk about it,
Okay.
to vote on it.
Thank you.
Am I correct on that?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions for anyone on agenda items? Anyone? Okay, let's move forward then. Okay, so items for consideration, motion to pay our bills for the period May 1st, 2024 through May 31st, 2024, summarized as follows. As the numbers you can see, question up with a total of $507,285.76. I need a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Bodadian,
Second.
second by Mr. Keys. All in favor? Aye. Motion to approve payroll for the period ending 2024 May 9th through 2024 May 23rd, with a total of $324,834.08. I need a motion. Motion is seconded by Mr. So, I know, we didn't vote on it. I didn't get a motion on the first person who voted on it or the second person. I'm still pretty upset about a lot of what's been going on here tonight, I gotta tell you. So, motion by Mr. Youngkins and seconded by Kevin Ondo. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion to award the 2024 paving program as indicated on the Borough Engineers submitted spreadsheet to El Grande Industries Incorporated from Denora, PA for the sum of $396,182.50. I need a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Youngkin, second by Ms. Fry. All in favor? A motion to approve the outside cafe seating of the pizza company Larry STHL LLC at 3502 Main Street, Munhall, PA, as depicted on the submitted illustration from the applicant and as discussed at the May 14th and June 14th, 2024 Borough Council work sessions for a period of 6 months ending on December 18th. Can we question this first, or do we have, how do we do that?
Needs to be a motion and a second, then there could be a question and amendment.
Okay, I need a motion.
Motion.
Motion by who?
Second.
Motion by who?
Yonkers.
Mr. Youngkins. Second by
Mrs. Riley.
Mr. Bodadian.
Question.
Any questions? I have a couple, but I can't ask them all.
No.
Can I? Oh, good. I don't think it should even go for 6 months. I think it should go till maybe October 20th or something. I don't know that we want to have that out there on the Halloween Day parade and have Halloweeners and have alcohol out on Main Street first thing. So I think we should put a stop. Maybe we could not have it on Halloween or that day, but I don't know what council thinks of that.
I have a question, only a question.
Oh, well, go ahead.
If we do that, what's gonna stop Mr. Larry from going at us because everybody else don't have to do it?
I think we should have it all done that way for Halloween.
I don't think we should be messing with our people that have businesses in town.
Okay,
It's been working fine for a couple of years now.
have it?
Yeah, I mean, most haven't had no problems.
So you-
Bosses hasn't any
So
problems.
you don't want to put any restriction on it at
No,
all?
I didn't say that. I think we should leave it at the 6 months like we talked about when he was here.
Okay.
We agreed.
No, we
on
didn't
that.
talk about them as leaders.
But we agreed on the 6 months last week.
We did.
We all agreed on it. Now we're gonna change what we agreed upon.
We talked about it. Listen, if you two guys want to run the show, that's fine. But I gotta say, I'm allowed to bring something up and talk about it. And everyone can.
I thought we agreed.
I'm just saying my
You're
opinion.
beating me up on this side, you beat me up on that side. So where are we going with this? What do you want to do?
You wanna move to that side?
You can move to this side if you like, sure.
I'm gonna go with it the way it says on the motion.
How about if you kind of compromise a little bit and say, with the exception of the Halloween parade, you can't open up until 5 or 6
All
o'clock.
I'm thinking about is all these little kids out there and Halloweeners walking up and down the street, and we have some drunk Halloweeners out there, and we have a problem on Main Street.
I was just thinking with the exception of the Halloween parade.
You guys don't want to do that, Mayor.
I mean,
We don't want to do that,
I'm trying to
Mayor.
compromise it.
We just
You said you
had
can't do it
last
until after
month.
6 PM, on the day of the Halloween parade.
And then do we want to put a time frame on this?
Time
We don't
frame's
have
very-
that.
Time frame's very important, Rich.
Yeah, it is, and I'm trying to get this jammed through, and I'm just asking questions.
I think we should make it 11 PM, no later than 11. I'd like 10 PM or something. 10 PM. But basically though, we're gonna have to let all the other people also know that too.
Absolutely.
But we just talked about they don't even have approval from us.
Right.
So how are we gonna enforce something that they never came got approval on?
Good question.
Did you go up there and tell them? Did you come down?
I was gonna wait till they, for tonight to see how you think, because what'll happen is we'll have to go, like, the reason, like I said last time, they told us to open it up because of the pandemic for bars and restaurants.
Pandemic's over.
Right, and that's why I brought Larry in front of the thing. What we can do, and I talked to Tim about this, you could rewrite our ordinance. You could write an ordinance saying from not, or outside things, and they have to follow it. Right, is that the way proper way of doing it, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, you could have a separate ordinance that's outside of the zoning ordinance that, sets all the parameters for outside seating. You could do that.
Right, so anyone that has outside thing, like,
Or you can make an amendment to your zoning ordinance.
right, either or. So
I believe
that everyone
Wolf's-
would have to follow it. Yes,
Wolf's
they
is
would
only
have,
open till 10 every night.
right,
So in that case, that kind of closes that deal. with
right,
10.
and so the Fox Diner's the same.
Right.
They only open until 1 o'clock.
Right, so
in
10
the
o'clock,
afternoon.
You believe 10 o'clock would be appropriate there?
I don't want to comment on that because my son's works for Larry.
Okay.
And so I
I wish he was here tonight, but he's not.
if I say, I've been in the bar business for 30 years, okay? City of Pittsburgh has a pretty good ordinance. What does theirs say? We might want to follow that. Why reinvent the wheel?
I was just reading.
They probably put a lot of time into it. We could call other municipalities or areas and say, hey, you have a city.
It's too late for that.
No, I agree.
It's too late.
I mean, 10 o'clock seems reasonable, 11 o'clock seems reasonable. 12 o'clock, and like they say, nothing good happens after 12 o'clock.
I mean, instead of putting an hour on Halloween, just say, not allowed on Halloween.
I'm
because you don't
sure-
know which kids are going up and down.
I'm sure
or
Mr.
whatever,
Stahl, if you said, hey,
And then say until.
That really complicates things.
I mean, yeah, we just had Main Street Market Night. There's all those kids up and down Main Street. There's 3 bars serving drinks out on Main Street, and there was not one issue. There was not one complaint, not one problem. And now we're concerned because the kids are out trick or treating. I mean, again, it's still the parents' responsibility to take care of the kids. We're not the babysitters, the business owners are the babysitters. We gotta figure something out. I mean,
You okay with the 11 o'clock?
I'm fine with 11
Yeah.
o'clock. I thought we said till 11 last week. That's just me. I thought we said that.
One question for the solicitor. Is there gonna have to be an ordinance, so anything you do the police can't enforce without an ordinance, right?
No, they're on public property. It would start with Dave. If you want to shut everyone down, Dave would go up there and give them a notice to vacate the sidewalk. And if they didn't, then they would be cited.
But I mean, like an ordinance, the police could cite, and let's say we do make it till 10 o'clock, they're there till 10:30. Do we have to have an ordinance for the police to cite
Well,
that?
I don't know the history on this, I'm just getting some of it right now. So apparently there are other establishments that have outside seating on borough sidewalks, and they've done so without applying, but there's been no objection by council. If we're gonna allow this outside seating, Boomer's right, we should have an ordinance that regulates it, so it's clear, and everyone's the same. You have to treat everyone the same. So if you wait for an ordinance to grant this, that's gonna be a long delay. It takes time to draft an ordinance, advertise it, revise it, get council's input. But if you wanna allow it, then you should be regulated by ordinance.
Rich, why don't we just vote on the motion as read and be done with it?
Well, then there's no hours involved.
There's no hours involved. It's just gets too complicated here.
Can you vote on it the way it stands now, and then draw up an ordinance, and have the ordinance take effect when it's complete?
I don't know that.
It would take a long time to have an ordinance set, Rich. Take months.
We'll take months.
Take
Well,
months.
that's what I mean. We can go along with it the way it is now, and
But with the six,
then put the ordinance in effect when it's.
if you give the 6 months, that'll give you time to work on an ordinance.
And as of now, we have to go.
Let's just vote on it the way it is,
Right, I just,
okay?
Yeah, you have a motion and second to vote on it as is. Unless someone makes a motion to amend, there's a motion and second to vote on it as is.
All right, let's just do that, and then that'll be done. We're gonna do it as a roll call vote. Melissa, you wanna do the roll call vote?
Councilwoman Mrs. Fry.
No.
Councilman David Youngkins.
Yes.
Councilman Mr. Shields.
yes.
Vice President Councilman Hondo.
Sure.
President Council Mr. Brennan.
No.
Councilman Mr. Bodadian.
Yes.
Yes.
So the motion passes.
Motion passes 5-2.
Yep. Okay, number 5, motion to enter into an agreement on Novus Strategies for Government Relations and Grant Writing from June 1st, 2024 to May 31st, 2025 for the annual sum of $27,000. I need a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Tim,
Second.
second by Mr. Bodadian. All in favor? Motion to rescind the May 21st, 2024 council meeting motion to appoint Vice President Councilman Kevin Ondo to attend the Center of Environmentally Sensitive Maintenance course on July 31st and August 1st, 2024 in Beaver County to comply with the PA Dirt and Gravel Road Program grant. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Ondo,
Second.
second by Mr. Eads. All in favor? That was a lot of talk about gravel. Motion to approve Assistant Public Works Director Scott McCullough to attend the Center for Environmentally Sensitive Maintenance course on July 31st and August 1st, 2024 to Beaver County to comply with the PA Dirt and Gravel Program grant. Gravel Road Program grant. I need a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Bernie,
Second.
second by Dave. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion to approve the placement of a 2011 Ford F-550 and a 2013 Ford Police Vehicle M5 on municipal bid for auction sale.
Motion.
Motion by Dave,
Second.
second by Rich. All in favor? Motion to approve a wage increase from $21 an hour to $23 an hour for John Sapinski, Human Resource Coordinator. I need a motion. Motion by Dave,
Second.
second by Tim. All in favor? It's unanimous. Motion to approve a traffic calming study on Ravine Street. I need a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Dave,
Second.
second by Tim.
Question.
I have a question as well.
I thought we approved it already.
Don't know that.
We did, we approved it, for up to $8,000. It was on July 18th of 2023.
And why is it here now?
The engineer asked that it be put on the agenda.
Okay.
Because I think the cost is a little above the cost that we approved in 2023.
What's a calming study?
That's where they do the traffic study. Like we did the stuff with the signs, now we gotta do it officially. So by the signs telling us that we would get the calming of the street, so.
And the end result would be what?
The end result is we'd be authorized to put speed humps on there, and it would be a good test road to see if it would work everywhere else in the borough.
Traffic calming devices are the term of art nowadays for speed humps. No longer use speed bumps.
They use islands in Pittsburgh.
Again, they're different designs.
Red or longer, yeah.
Well, they're humps, they're not humps.
I'm supposed
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? It's unanimous. Motion to authorize and advertise sealed bid submissions for the Creek Street stabilization project.
Motion.
Motion by Tim, second by Rich. All in favor? Aye. Motion to approve the placement of a handicap parking sign in front of 1208 Margaret Street upon the recommendation of the Chief of Police. Need a motion? Motion by Kevin. Second by Tim. All in favor? A motion to approve the placement of a handicap parking sign in front of 2412 Dewey Street upon the recommendation of the Chief of Police.
Motion.
Motion by Rich, second by Dave. Okay, all in favor? Okay, a motion to appoint the planning commission. I don't know how this is resolved like this. There's one, two, three, four names, but there's only 2 positions. And I thought that I spoke with the borough manager about Mr. Ondo had already been voted upon, or there was a question about, he was appointed and it was voted on prior. Has anyone discussed this?
We reviewed the minutes, there's nothing in the minutes.
Okay.
Except for Russ Firestone and Mr. McCarthy, I believe it is, that were approved for the planning commission.
Okay. They've been approved, Russ and
McCarthy.
And McCarthy. Okay. So,
What about the 4 that are expired on the list that we have?
pardon me?
There's 4 on the list that are expired also.
Well, 2 have been appointed already.
Look at the top first 3 on that list.
Well, I don't have that in front of me.
It's on the package.
Thank you. Thank you.
There's 4 on there that are also expired too.
Well, Mark Fallon must have just expired.
2 from April and 2 from May.
Russ Firestone's vacant. No, he's appointed. Okay, I see how this goes. Mr. Ondo is up 12/31/20. No, you're up 12/31/27.
So then I am on it.
Well, we don't, I mean, you know, whatever, I don't know what Munhall's policy has been. Ordinarily, what you would do is submit a letter, an email, say you want appointed, you want reappointed, so there's a record of that. And Kevin, we looked in the minutes and, I mean, I don't know, you may have called, what, Seth? I mean, I don't know, I mean, if that's okay, that's okay. But council should vote on the appointments, any commission authority.
Absolutely.
So in the past,
They wrote a letter in their consideration.
Yeah.
in the past, if you were on the commission and you chose to to stay on it, you contacted the chairman of the planning commission, which I did. After I spoke with him, I had called Seth and told him. That's why it says on there that my appointment goes to 2027.
There needs to be a motion by council at the expiration of any term. And I know this is very common. Typically, someone reaches out, because people on the commissions don't remember when their term expired. And someone in borough administration typically contacts them. Hey, Betty Smith, your term is expiring. Do you want to remain on the planning commission? If so, send an email to the borough manager or a letter expressing your interest to continue, and then it requires a council vote to reappoint for a new term.
So if I see what you're saying here, so Mike Galovich, his term's expired, and Mark Fallon, his term is expired, and Peggy Vacarak, her term is expired, and PJ Ostrowski, his term's expired.
So someone should contact.
So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 people that are expired, and what you're saying here is that we're not, what are we doing with Mr. Ondo? His date on here is dated, but you're saying that we don't have a vote on him. So that's 5.
They gotta submit a letter in for reappointment.
That's 5 people.
You never had to submit a letter before.
Oh,
Rich, I'm the senior most person on the planning commission. I've been on there more than 20 years. I've never had to send a letter in to reapply to be appointed to a volunteer planning commission committee.
Well, there was always a letter brought to council saying that people want reappointed.
Why don't we pay for a solicitor who just said that you have to?
So there's 6 vacancies.
We just need the people whose terms expire, we just need to know if they want to stay on. And then we definitely have to vote, council, to reappoint for a new term. That is a certainty.
So I gotta tell you, there's 6 vacancies on this board.
Well, you got two, you got people here that want to be appointed, Mr. Miller, Mr. Hannah, Mr. Siriano.
I don't see them on my list here for voting purposes,
Yeah,
so.
they have your emails, they've expressed their interest.
Yeah, but I'm here, we're talking here right now.
You have to make them, there's 4 people.
Well, I wasn't gonna be presumptive and put their names on there.
Okay, so you have those 4 people.
And Mr. McCarthy's already on there, and Mr. Firestone's already, so you have 3 people that are interested. You could appoint them, because they've already expressed interest, or 2 of them to the vacancy, and then you could reappoint Mr. Ondo, because he's already said he's.
So I didn't get to the vacancies. We have 6 named people that their appointments are expired, and then we have 2 other vacancy spots. So we have 8 vacancies.
You may not, but the other people.
Well, there it is, right there.
I don't know how we can have eight.
PJ Ostrowski is 4/1/24, he's expired.
Well, I thought they were staggered so this could never happen.
Peggy Vacarac, 5/1/24, she expires. Mark Fallon, 5/1/24, he expires.
I understand that.
Well, I'm just reading it here so we all understand it. Mike Galovich, 4/1/24, he's expired. Kevin Ondo, he's good till 2027, but he's not proper. So we gotta vote for him too. So that's 6, and we have 2 vacancies, so that's 8. So read the names that are interested and we'll vote on them.
So I will tell you that the people who you just read off,
Yeah,
that are expired,
yeah.
9 out of 10, they called up and, because I was told that if we wanted to do it, we were grandfathered in. That's what I was told.
Well,
That's
let
not
me
the
just
proper
say
way to
this.
do it, I guess.
In order so that the planning commission as a body can continue to function, yes, you could continue to serve, so we have that. But for record-keeping purposes, those reappointments should be made, and they should be made by a vote. So,
Greg, if I may ask,
Yes.
why is my term expired in 2027 if I wasn't already appointed?
There was no vote
I
on
don't
it.
know.
There's no vote on it.
well, I don't know who made this record, okay? I'm just saying, as a matter of course, we should reappoint these people. If they all want to stay on, that's fine. There should just be a motion on the expiration of terms, reappointing them, that's all. I'm not saying you're not on there. I don't know what was done, I don't keep the records.
I have a question. Why are so many coming up at one time?
Well, it could be staggered, how many are on board? 9?
9.
So it could be staggered, 4, and every 2 years, you have 4 and then 5, 4 and then 5, I'm guessing. I'd have to look at the ordinance and see how it's created. That's a good question, Bernie. I mean, maybe we need to go back and look at the planning, the ordinance that created the planning commission, see how their terms are supposed to be staggered and get this all uniform.
See, we have tonight, we appoint 2 people. That would be June of '24. Now, would their term expire to the date or for the year? That's what screws things up.
It should be on a calendar year.
Right, a calendar year is what you should do. Not that that's like,
It should all be a
you kind
calendar
of split
year.
half the year in half.
Term, you have terms are April and
I don't know where that
May,
leaves us.
December.
Mess.
I don't.
The whole thing's a mess.
I don't understand that.
You know what I mean? I thought January 1st, everybody's term was done.
The terms should all be calendar year.
Right.
You have them all these different months.
I see the months on there, blue. I don't understand the months.
I don't either.
I see, I think that's what Bernie's going at. Somehow they need to be staggered again.
Yes.
We
And
can't
they should be
appoint
uniform on the calendar
4 or
year.
6 tonight.
And moving down to the sewer authority, Matt Bovee. Matt Bovee is expired, and so is Tony DiMartino. He's expired. Both of them are expired.
At the end of this year.
At the end of this.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was 2023. I'm sorry. Yeah, so there's no expires there. I'm looking
I
at
know
the rest
both
of
of them
them.
want to stay on.
And that's good. So all the other ones are correct except for the planning commission. It's a mess. And I'm at the will of council.
So whoever we approve today, it goes backdated to January 1st of this year when they came on. So we don't have to go through this again.
I think it should be a calendar year.
Right, so
I mean,
January 1st.
I'm guessing the ordinance says it that, there's an
Right.
ordinance when it was created, how many decades ago?
Right.
But I would think that's correct, Bernie.
Years ago, these were always done in January, the beginning of the calendar year, and they were staggered.
Right.
And I don't, we usually, these are done, appointments were done at the reorganization meeting. But I don't know how it got off track. I don't know.
Well, we could, I mean, it's probably a good time to clean this up.
Clean it
It
up.
needs to be cleaned.
Absolutely.
I think that since Kevin, as we all can see, his term is now expiring 12/31/2027. If we have to vote, I think we vote on Kevin first, because he was told all he has to do is, we called PJ Ostrowski, we called, the other one, they both said yes. His name goes further, then he should be on along with Russ Firestone and Bill McCarthy. And if we want to pick out two other names, whatever, they're the ones we should vote on. That's my opinion.
Doesn't the planning commission meet the same night we meet?
No. Yes.
Yes, they do.
Workshop,
The workshop.
half an hour before.
I'm just asking questions.
Josh, can you got your answer?
Well, I don't know what you want to do, but I have this list. I mean, I'm gonna look at the ordinance that created this, and I can make a suggestion, but I do think it needs to be cleaned up. So we have calendar year terms for everybody, and they're properly staggered for expirations, and I can make a recommendation on how to handle that. We want to make sure the terms are staggered, and you don't have all these different months for expiration. That doesn't make sense.
It should be by the year.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. But
So
don't
I
know if I'm
think,
gonna do
I
tonight,
think
but-
what you should do is you should set it up as to the starting of a brand-new, planning commission. And you stagger it, however you want to stagger it. You have Firestone and McCarthy already, they've already been voted in on. So you could start with them, and then the rest are all expired. You can do it as a 2-year, 3-year, 4-year, however you would do it in a news. If you go into the code, the borough code, it tells you how to start a new planning commission and stagger the years.
Yeah, what I think I'm gonna do, I mean, Kevin can be confirmed. He's clear, he's got the same expiration as other three.
Right.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, he's on, and we can confirm all this with a motion.
We should,
If you want me to try to clean this up,
Yes.
make a motion, I'm happy to do it.
Yes.
Just confirm his term, he's already on there to the end of December, same with Firestone and McCarthy.
right.
And I try to figure out what's going on with these other folks. You know, unless, I mean, you have other applicants, but I don't know if you've inquired with like the people whose terms just expired.
Well, obviously they're not.
Yeah, I don't know if they wanna stay on or not.
But we have 2 empty spots.
We have
Well,
to-
you have more than that, because.
Well, we have 2 that we can vote on today.
Yeah, you have 2 clear vacancies.
Let's do
I don't
that.
know what the term should be, though, that's my concern.
Why don't you make them 4-year terms, then you have Firestone, McCarthy, Ondo, and the 2 vacants, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, with 4 terms. And then you can appoint two of the 3 applicants we have here to the vacancies if you wanted to tonight, the 4-year terms, so you have 5 people with 4-year terms. And if Ostrowski, McCarrick, and Fallon, and Galovich want to be appointed, they'd have to be appointed to 2-year terms. So that's probably the way it's gonna go.
But it's a 4-year term.
Not when you're starting like this.
But because
We're
it's
gonna stagger something.
been bastardized, and it's been bastardized because nobody has submitted a letter or an email. They have just been word of mouth, and nobody knows when their term begins, and nobody knows when their term ends. That's why this has happened, exactly because of the procedure that you.
Agnes Patterson used to be secretary of the planning commission. She used to turn in every November and December, everyone who expired, we haven't gotten that for years, from what I see. I haven't been here for a few years. But Agnes was there, right?
Yeah.
And she used to take care of that and turn them in every year or two, whenever, and we all knew what was going on, but that has gone by the wayside. That's what the problem is. I guess, does the planning commission have a secretary? I don't know.
There was some,
There's a problem. We don't get
There's
any,
def-
we
yeah,
don't
there's
get
definitely-
report-
there's definitely
We've never
a
gotten a
problem,
report
yeah.
from the planning commission,
yeah.
ever. So there needs to be I think the solicitor needs to go ahead, however you guys want to do it. I think you should start it as a new planning commission and stagger all the terms, and we're gonna have to contact all these people who are on the board and ask them if they want to be redone, and then you're gonna have to do it. So I don't care how you do it, what you want to do. You want to vote for the vacancy people right now, that's fine. That's fine by me, whatever, however council chooses. But I think that the solicitor and the borough manager need to get together and set this up and make it right, because it's definitely a foul. And I think they should change their meeting night and not have it on a council meeting night as well. Because we never get any information from them. We should tell them we want them to meet on a different night than a council meeting.
It's fine. I don't even know if I'm on there yet, so.
No, you don't. Apparently, you're still there, though.
You're close.
You might, maybe.
Maybe.
I make a motion to appoint Bill Hannah.
I make a motion to appoint Kevin Munhall.
Second.
I think, I think Kevin's on there. I'm listening to all this. His term is already set. We're just gonna make it more complicated if he starts a new term now.
Right.
I mean, you can make a motion to confirm his appointment to expire December 31, 2027, so we have the minutes. I'm good with that, but let's not confuse these terms anymore. He's already set on there with a term.
So how many vacancies do we have, if we fill in Kevin, how many we have right now?
Two. We have two vacancies, and you have
Four people who just expired, but we don't know if they want to stay on.
Right.
So they need to be asked if you want to consider them. There's two unfilled seats. So you make a motion to confirm Kevin's seat expiring December 31, 2027.
Let's do that first.
All right.
I have a motion on the floor
I'm not
to appoint
I'll
somebody
make
to
a
the planning
motion
commission. I'll
to
second.
confirm Kevin Londo's appointment to the planning commission to expire 12/31/2027.
So there is a motion on the floor.
Second, and
We
then,
have to act on it.
Oh, no, there wasn't a sorry, I'm not cutting you off, but you gotta have a second for any motion before you vote.
Youngkin seconded.
But you did make a motion.
I made a motion.
I'm confusing things.
Yeah, I made a motion,
Yeah.
and then another motion was made on top of my motion.
Yeah, that's correct. Well, in Robert's Rules of Order, Mr. Reeves is correct. He made a motion. You ought to call for a second on that before we
Need a
move to
second.
Kevin.
second by Mr. Youngkins.
That's to appoint Bill Hannah to the seat, to
Correct.
one of the vacant seats.
Correct.
And I'm gonna check.
And what will that term be?
I believe it's gonna be effective January 1 of 2024 for 4 years, but I'm gonna clarify on that. But just put it that way for now, I mean, I think it has to be. Wow. I don't know how else to do it.
so do we just fill one
I really
vacancy or
don't
two?
know. I'm guessing at what his term should be, because this is a mess.
We
Right.
got a first and a second, we got to vote on
I don't know.
Bill Hannah or
Well, we need a term first. We need to know how long he's
Put
gonna
him,
be
put
there
him on
for.
it. His term is to be determined when I clean up this mess with Mr. Little, because I don't know what we have to do to get to the proper staggered terms, which our ordinance requires. I don't know what else to say. So we can put him on.
We're gonna do that after. We can do that after. I need a list of people that applied. So there's, how many other names have applied for this
It's
position?
in your packet.
In my packet.
Ed Miller, Bill Hannah,
And Mike
Mike
Serena.
Serena.
and Mike Siriano. Those are the three that have applied.
So is that proper that we just vote for one, or should we vote for two, or how do we do that? Vote for one and then vote for another one for the vacancy, Mr. Solicitor?
You can do whatever you want.
I think all three of them should be put on, vote, you vote who you want to.
No, you only have 2 vacancies.
We have 2 vacancies, and how many people have applied?
3.
3.
Not counting Kevin, Kevin's done.
Yeah, Kevin's
I'm
done.
done. You're done, you're good, you're in.
No,
We're gonna vote
we gotta vote on
to.
that.
Okay, you got a motion on the table to put Bill Hannah on here.
I thought you were close.
Is that the proper way to do it? I don't care however you want to do it, but then you're going to come down to someone votes another one and the other person doesn't care about it.
Here's the thing, the concern is, I don't know what the terms should be to get this back in order.
Okay?
So if you start appointing people tonight, I'm guessing at the term.
Okay?
There's some uncertainty. Unless there's an urgency to fill these seats now, I could get this analysis done by next month and have a recommendation of what the terms should be, you can make them all then. I don't know that the planning commission has any urgent business from now next month.
You better ask Kevin, I think.
But that's not my call. It's
Kevin's
council's.
is in right now.
Well, we're gonna confirm that he's in as soon as we deal. There's a motion and a second on the floor for Mr. Hannon. I'm not sure what his terms should be until I dig into this.
Well, why don't we put them on, whoever we vote for, and then figure out their terms afterwards, instead of waiting another month to put people on the planning commission.
That ain't the way you do it though.
Well, there you go. So do we want to, I don't know.
Solicitor, are we able to do it that way?
You're not giving the other people a chance.
That's right. You're not giving the other people who put their name in a chance either.
Only for the
2
open
vacant spots.
Well, yeah, but there's
We're not-
there's
we're not
3
taking-
people.
There's 3 people.
Yeah.
So how, same way we did it for the sewer authority. There was a person name, a motion, a second, and you voted on it. Yea or nay. It was the same as that way. We just did it a couple months ago. We're not changing the world here.
I'm not changing the world here at all. I'm not part of this mess. I'm just trying to decide on how the proper way to do it, and for you to just make a motion for one and not vote for all 3 is wrong.
That's how
That's
we
what-
just did it
That-
3 months ago.
I don't know that to be
We
true.
just did
That
that.
don't mean that was right.
We have a motion on the table for Mr. Hannah.
There's a motion and there was a second.
And the second.
No, there's a, yeah.
There's a motion and a
Motion and a
second.
second. So,
We have to vote on it.
Yes, and we did the same way. We did the same way.
but the term will have to be determined when I clean this mess up. That's all I can say. I don't know where we are.
Well, you already have Firestone and McCarthy with 4-year terms a couple months ago.
Right.
So someone's gonna have to go to maybe a 3-year term.
That's what I surmised.
Maybe the first one that you put on will go a 3-year term. That way, the basis probably shouldn't do more than 2 a year.
So then in actuality, if my term is up in 27, hypothetically, I have a 3-year term, even though my term was up in 2023. So
Yeah, but you've been serving all through it.
I have.
So that doesn't matter. All these other people, their terms should be 4-year terms, because they were just voted on.
That's correct.
These 2 were just voted on this year. They're the ones that should be a 4-year term, not a 3-year term. But whatever. That the whole thing is misconstrued.
So, Mr. Patrick, just for clarification, are we saying that Kevin will be on, and we need to vote between Bill Hannah, Joe Miller, and Mike Serrano, who will get the other position?
You can appoint the 2 vacant, there's so many options.
See, he should-
There's so many options
Right.
that you can do. There's a motion and a second on the floor to appoint Bill Hannon to a vacancy. Unless someone makes a motion to table that has to be voted.
I make a motion to table it for now and restart and see how this should be discussed on how to be voted on. Mike Serrano, Joe Miller, and who else? Bill Hannah.
You can make it very simple if you want. Put the 3 names out there and everybody vote. Who they want to.
You vote for 2,
Whatever it is.
because there's 2 vacancies,
That's good.
right?
He still has a motion and a second. You gotta make a motion to.
I voted,
Motion.
I make a motion, we rescind it, and we re-vote to do two, to vote for two. I don't care. But I don't think it's right to just make a motion for Bill Hanna when you have two other positions now. Now you're going down 2-1. It should go, all three have applied, because Mike Serrano was in before Bill Hanna, and so was Joe Miller. Eddie Miller?
That's what it says on his thing. It says Eddie Miller. Remember the Joe Miller?
Randy said Joe Miller.
Somebody, remember Joe Miller? I don't think he had.
Edward Miller.
Edward Miller. I still can't find that in my packet. I'm still looking for it in my packet. I don't think I even have it. Whatever. I don't know what's proper. I'm counting on the solicitor to tell me how to do this.
There's a motion and a second to appoint Bill Hanna.
Okay?
And
Thank you.
if someone wants to table that or make a motion to, well, you can't amend it. You have to make a motion to table if you want to stop that motion and make a motion to.
I'm not allowed to make a motion.
I know, you'd have to.
I can't make a motion. Right.
Someone else, that has to be voted
Or
on.
they can follow through on their vote.
Unless someone else makes a motion to table and then start with a different motion.
Right.
As some others have suggested, by motion to appoint all three, and then you take a roll call vote and everyone picks two candidates. I mean, those are the options where we are now, based on what's on the floor.
You're done. Congratulations.
I'll make a motion, we table that motion and bring another motion in to do it the right way.
You mean listing all three names? All right, well, there needs to be a second on that.
I second
Need to take a roll call vote.
Councilwoman Mrs. Fry,
I vote, just so everybody knows, I'm voting.
You're voting to
Table.
To table. You're not voting on anyone right
Okay,
this
I
minute.
vote to table, yes.
Councilman Youngkins,
No.
Councilman Shields,
No.
Vice President Councilman Ondo,
Yes.
Council President Richard Brennan,
I vote yes.
Councilman Mr. Richard Bodine,
Yes.
Councilman Timothy Eads.
No.
Is 4-3.
Yeah, passes
4-3 to table. Now, if someone wants to make a motion to appoint the three names to two seats by individual vote to determine who gets the majority of the votes, you could do that.
I make a motion to appoint Bill Hanna.
Can't say that.
Can I?
You didn't finish.
Can I finish? Come on. Bill Hanna, Mike Serrano, and Edward Miller.
To the two vacancies by roll call vote.
To two vacancies by roll call vote.
Okay, you need a second.
Second.
Sorry. All right. All right, now you gotta take a roll call vote, and you gotta write down the names that each person says. And then add them all up, see who gets 4 votes.
Councilwoman Fry, the two names you would like.
I would like Mike Serrano, and I would like Ed Miller.
Councilman Mr. Youngkins,
Bill Hanna and Mike Serrano.
Councilman Shields,
Soriano, Hannah.
Vice President Council Ondo,
Serrano and Miller.
Council President Mr. Brennan,
Serrano and Miller.
Councilman Richard Bodine,
Serrano and Miller.
Councilman Timothy Eads.
Bill Hannah and Mike Serrano.
All right, I counted 7 for Serrano, 4 for Miller, and 3 for Hannah. Does anyone else come to that total?
I got 6 for Serrano.
I got 6 for Serrano.
6? Come on, me.
3 for Mr. Hannah.
3 for Mr. Hannah. Miller, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4
4
for
for
Miller.
Mr.
Serrano and Miller.
All right, so I missed Serrano.
Serrano and Miller are the 2.
All right, Serrano and Miller are appointed. Their term is to be determined by me and the manager, so we can get this coordinated, but they are on now.
Then you're gonna contact all these other people who
Well,
are,
I want someone in the
No, I can do
office.
that. I can
contact
do
Right.
that. I can have the office do that.
Yeah.
and then we need to reapply and take other people can apply for these positions?
I think we have enough now.
Well, I would say, yeah, only if they don't want to.
Or yeah, if they
If they don't want to, then you're gonna have to.
I'm just asking what the proper way to do it is.
Yeah, well, unless, I'd see if they're interested first, and then you can act on them.
Okay? All right.
Rick,
Yes, sir.
I think the planning commission has taken responsibility for what happened here. I mean, there's been no correspondence since I've been here, only since January, on anything. Do you know of any?
Nope.
No. So, I mean,
So the planning commission meets as needed, as required. So if you don't have meetings, what's
So they voted on stuff and they've never reported on what they voted on?
they still have a responsibility end of year to let us know what their terms are. I always did it for years. This is what we need, and we'd fill them up in January.
So, I think they need a new date too.
Whether they meet or not, somebody has to take that responsibility.
Well, they have met and they
Right.
made decisions and they've not brought their act.
Even if they don't meet, I mean, they have a secretary, he or she could take care of that at the end of the year, what their vacancies are. They'd have to have a meeting to do that.
so I may be wrong in saying this, but the planning commission, they only make a recommendation. It goes from the planning commission to the zoning board. Dave, am I correct?
Council.
Goes from planning to council.
So, can we move on?
Yes.
All right, public comments on agenda items, on non-agenda items, I'm sorry. Yes, sir. Please state your name. Yep, you've been here a long time.
Hi, my name's Ken Weir. And although I'm a resident of the city of Pittsburgh, I own 3 properties in Munhall. And I'd like to address, are you, to whoever's the sewer you are? I don't understand something about how the sewer bills work. Like, Munhall pays sewer bill. Legal tax service collects the bill and remits it back to the borough. Is that how that works?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, when a bill becomes delinquent, okay, a tenant stops paying the sewage bill.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the sewage bill stays with the property.
Right.
Okay, but legal tax service enters into a third-party contract because the landowner eventually has to pay that sewage bill. Okay, and when you call legal tax, they send out the notices, and I get a landlord tenant notice, right? Now, how is it that ultimately, when legal tax gets paid, how do they get paid? They get a percentage of what they collect?
Yes, sir.
The fees, who gets the fees?
The
Like
late
late fees, administration fees, mailing fees, those things that are added on to the bill.
That all gets paid by the sewer authority.
Okay, but who gets that money?
We get it if we paid it out, but I think the late fees, for collections.
They get it.
They get it, yes.
Exactly. So here's the point. Legal tax doesn't have the right to enter into an agreement on my behalf with a tenant who is delinquent. I got a letter from legal tax, because I get the landlord tenant notice.
I get them too.
Right. And it says, your bill is due and it has to be paid in full or we're shutting the water off. My tenant goes up and says, I need to make payments. And they accept the payments.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Is the bill in your name or the tenant's name?
No, it's in the tenant name.
Well, that's why they deal with the
Yes,
tenant.
but the property keeps the sewage bill.
That's why,
But no, listen,
excuse me, listen.
Go
That's
ahead.
why, as a landlord myself,
right,
I keep the water in my name. And I make them pay it every month, and then they pay their sewage bill too.
the water is in their name.
Well, no, the water would be in my name.
But that's your decision.
Right, but this way I know what's going on.
I know what's going on because I get a landlord tenant notice.
But I
So
can
here's the
control
point.
it.
Here's the point. I have tenant that goes up. I get a bill, landlord tenant notice, $300. How does that happen? I call legal tax. Oh, we contacted them. They don't answer back. So I call them and I say, you gotta go and you gotta pay the sewage bill. Ultimately, my only remedy is a foreclosure, right, an eviction, which costs me money, and then I have to pay the full rate of the sewage bill that's due back to the borough. Okay, so ultimately, the final result is they don't pay. Legal tax is saying, I'll take payments. I don't give you permission to take payments. If it says it's paid in
But what you
full-
don't understand, sir,
What?
because the water's in their name.
Right.
So is the sewage.
I get it, that's right.
But the
So we're-
sewage, and make sure that it goes to your property. That's why I
Right.
put the water in my name.
Right.
So the sewage is in my name, and I get all of it.
So you're gonna pay it ultimately. And my point is.
How about this? I got burnt for over $3,200 by a
Okay,
family.
fine, everybody that's a landlord, and I'm just saying, there's an injustice here because they're entering into an agreement to take payments. That
Because
should
they,
be,
because they have their name on the sewage bill.
but it's, then why do I get it? If it's a
Because it stays
landlord
with the
tenant?
property and you own the property.
Exactly. So ultimately,
That's the way it's been forever.
but why? If I don't give legal tax, look, it's help me help you. You send out a notice, if this sewage bill isn't paid, we're shutting the water off. Who shuts the water off when you issue a shut off
The
notice?
water company.
Okay, so they say, okay, our next round of shut-offs is in August. This person hasn't paid the sewage bill, what's the only remedy? All I'm saying is, if you help the landlords,
I
help
understand.
you, right? If I say to legal tax, enter into an agreement, all right, you can take payments, but that should be my decision, not theirs. They don't have no rights to do that.
No, they don't.
They don't have a right to say, I'll take payments.
I don't know, I'm not a
and
lawyer,
then-
so I
And then
don't
you
know.
know what? And then you know what they do? They walk the bill. At the end, it stays with the property.
Yes, it does.
Okay, so how is that,
I don't know how it is. It's the way it's been as long as I've can
why
remember.
isn't here's the question. Why isn't there an ordinance on the book? The sewage bill's gotta be tremendous, right? We all know that, right? The borough pays the bill. Why isn't there an ordinance on the books that said after $200, we're shutting the water? Hey, go up, they send a notice. I didn't bring them, but I could show you. We're gonna shut the water off. When I called, so why is the water, I got a bill, $700. Next bill was $950. That's what's due now.
Why didn't they shut it off?
They said they couldn't open the water box. Legal tax said they couldn't open the water box. So I called the water company. They went down and put a new shut off there. So I called them and said, why is the water not shut off? Oh, our next round of shut off is in August. Now the bill's gonna be $1,200 by then.
They run it up.
But then they leave. You understand? They walk the property.
Right.
And then when I go to want to rent again, I gotta pay the sewage bill. So I don't know why legal tax has the authority. If I said to them, as the owner of the property, if that tenant comes to you and wants to make payments, I'll accept it. But if I say I don't want no payments, you write on that notice, it has to be paid in full, I find out a month later that they accepted payments.
I don't know their terms, sir,
Why?
because they got their own company. They're not part of us.
Well,
then I don't know if the contract's from front to back.
Well,
If you call up the
that's
sewer
a
authority.
third-party contract entered in under my behalf. I didn't tell them to take payments. I didn't tell them to take payments. I said, you sent out the notice that says, paid in full or we shut the water off. Guess what? They walk up and say, here's $50. Oh, okay, we're gonna pay you every month. And they don't. I don't think it's fair. I don't think you should, I think that the agreement with legal tax should be if the property owner agrees to payments, take them. If he says no payments accepted, there should be none given.
Ken, you're lucky that you got a notice from Legal Tax Service.
Right.
Because this isn't the first time people have come to the council meeting and complained about that. Because there were people actually sitting in the audience out there that a year and a half later, they finally got a bill from Legal Tax Service, and it was like astronomical.
Right.
I got one too.
So you're not alone in this.
Well, what I'm saying, does the borough communicate anything to legal tax? Do you have any right to say to legal tax, this is the way we want it run? It seems like they have.
This isn't the borough, it's the authority, it's a separate entity.
Yeah,
We're saying the borough,
Sewer authority is a separate.
it's a totally separate entity with a separate board and they have their own meetings.
Okay, so maybe I'm at the wrong place.
Yes, sir, you
I was
are.
gonna, I didn't want to interrupt.
All right,
The
maybe I'm at
first
the
of
wrong
the
place,
month,
but I didn't
first
know.
Wednesday of the month,
Here?
right across.
Oh,
the-
across, up the new building they got? All right, I'm sorry I
6
took your
o'clock.
time.
Sorry, wasted your time.
Sorry I wasted your
If
time.
you stop in there and speak to the
I will, I
manager,
called legal tax and asked
No, I
to
said
speak to
you stop
somebody
up
and they
there.
never called me back.
up the sewer authority and talk to the manager over there, she can help you out a lot more.
Okay, so they
She's
operate
more-
independently of the councils? Do they?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
I'm at the wrong place.
Good luck,
All
Roy.
right,
No problem.
all right.
Good luck.
All right.
Oh, yeah, good luck.
Well, I mean, I just think it's unfair.
It is.
My bad. Jimmy, how are you?
In absence of the president of the council, I'd like to speak to the residents of Margaret Street. I'd like to personally apologize what's going on down there. Sometimes when you sit here, I was here for many years, and I was gone and back, you feel so helpless. When people come and they need your help, and there's so many bureaucrats and just goes crazy, and you can't do things, and all you want to do is fix things for people. We weren't able to do that for you, but this year and, 20 days is unbelievably reckless to everyone. I apologize, and hopefully, this is top of the line here. We're gonna get this done as soon as possible.
I agree.
Anybody else have anything? Yes, ma'am.
It's a.
I guess I'm currently in charge. Yeah.
A non-agenda item. Again, with Mr. Shields reiterating, I said last week, I've been saying for months, I think it's important to have the Blight Committee meetings. There's been excuses, there's been reasons. I don't know if having meetings would have alleviated these people's, issues. You need to come to an agreement of day and time. You need to let the public know so the public can come to meetings. And I think by next month, that day and time should be determined. I've said it for months, and nothing's happening. So I would like to see a day and time for this committee.
Who's in charge of that?
Next question, Bill Hanna, 138 Carmel Drive. You get an update on the hiring of the new borough manager?
We're in the process of negotiating with the new borough manager.
When do you expect to make a decision?
Not sure, we're working that with our solicitor, and hopefully soon.
The interim borough manager is here to when?
He's here.
June 28th.
He's here till June 28th, but he's not leaving us. He's going on vacation. He'll be here to help us. He's not leaving us high and
Well,
dry.
hopefully by the time I get back, you have a new manager.
Hopefully we do.
So if you plan to vote on this, that would be a month from now. at best, and then at least 2 weeks beyond that. So best case, August.
I wouldn't know about the 2 weeks beyond that.
I wouldn't know about that at all, but we could have a special, we can have a special meeting at any time. Council can decide whatever we choose, and we can get someone in here as quickly as needed.
Good.
So yes, we can do that.
Can we get an update on the Turtle Creek parking? Where we're at with that?
We discussed that, and they're gonna be parking down below.
Talking about some money.
The engineer has completed a design and there's applied for permits for the state which are required, so I haven't heard anything since then.
We set aside $500,000 in this year's budget to make that commitment. So do we've seen bids, have they gone out to bid yet, or just?
No.
No,
It's not, we're not there
they
yet.
need permits before they go out to bid.
Okay. And then, the fire escrow fund, that actual fund itself and that dollar amount was here before set. So I think you need to talk to Joe Barhola on set.
Okay.
That was.
Talk to whom?
Joe Barhola.
Joe Barhola, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that is true. His signature or notes are more in that than Seth's. That's very true.
Yeah, I can tell you that amount's been there since Seth started on.
The amount that I was built, the amount I was talking about,
Yeah, it was a little over
that was put
35,
in there on February 23rd, 2022.
which is before Seth. He started on.
I don't know when Seth started.
He started on June 1st, 2020.
2022. Well, then I could call Joe. You know, he might know something.
Okay. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? I thank you all for attending. It's been a long meeting, but we're trying to do the best we can.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor? Aye. Have a good evening. Thank you.